welcome back to the Pocket Network Podcast, a podcast for real estate professionals like you to innovate your world. I'm your host, Margarita Petrosian, and each week I sit down with professionals in the community to talk about real estate hot topics, common challenges, and so much more. This week I have Eddy and Sam from SCFSU. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. I don't know if we're professionals necessarily, but we're getting there.
You've had some success, so I consider that a professional already, especially compared to the rest of us that's never done it.
Well, we were definitely in that boat a year and a half ago, but I guess now, once you accomplish one big task, it's all of a sudden you know everything. But we're always learning.
And before we start, what does your company name stand for?
Oh,
well,
I'm assuming Sam and Eddy.
That's Sam and Eddy fix stuff up. We were just trying to figure out a name, something short, something that we could relate to.
A lot of things were taken. A lot of names were taken, so we just came up with
it
something.
Worked. It says exactly what you guys do, and it has your names in it.
Yeah. It has been a little bit annoying trying to give people our email because SCFSU, it's like explaining those letters is a pain, but I like our name, and it's open to interpretation to whoever wants. And maybe Eddy doesn't like it as much as I do, but I love our name.
Hey, you guys can always rebrand and change it if need be, but I think for now it's fine. So before you guys started off with this project, did you guys have any prior experience in real estate?
No, we did not have any prior experience.
So what were you guys doing?
So I had an engineering degree and I was working as an engineer. And Sam,
I was a college dropout, started in the business world. I went through a bunch of things, but at the time I was running my luxury car rental business, which was doing very, very well until COVID came around. But we actually started this venture in January 2020. So around the time that COVID hit, my business was getting highly affected. And I ended up fully transitioning into SCFSU. But basically the way that we got into it is Eddy was, I want to say networking is probably the best way to say it, but he was just talking to us, like me and Eddy are very close friends. We went to high school together. We grew up together, but he was telling me, hey, I want to flip properties and invest in properties. And I mean, I guess you could talk more about where your mind was at when you were like talking about that and then how we ended up connecting.
Well, yeah, so I did not enjoy working a 9-to-5 job, and I started branching out, like, okay, what can I get into besides this? What business can I get into? And I did a lot of research. It was about 2 years of just researching things of what can I do and whatever, and I landed on real estate. So, and then I started telling everybody, hey, I'm getting into real estate, I'm going to do this. And including Sam, one of my good friends. And then Sam said, hey, why don't we do something together? And that's where we said, okay, let's start a company together. This was like 2019. And then January of 2020, we started the company, not knowing what we were going to do with it still. We just knew it was going to be a real estate company. So
I knew what we were going to do with it. I knew I was going to. The thing about me and Eddy is we balance each other out. He's a lot more reserved and conservative and thinks things out, and I'm a lot more over the top, like just go for it, and action. So we kind of balance each other out. But at the time, I guess I didn't know because I didn't. But I wanted to do like a luxury ground up construction project. Like that's where my mind was kind of at. And Eddy wanted to just get into real estate, which looking around, real estate has built a lot of wealth for a lot of people, and people that do it well. It's not about being rich; it's about being wealthy. There's a big difference in that, and that's I think what Eddy's goal was to build wealth, and to get out of the 9-to-5. And I wanted something else to branch out of my daily business that brings me cash and whatnot to build out something bigger as well that I could use as like a retirement.
a lot of people do think of it that way, but it's really not as simple or as easy as it sounds when you hear someone successful like you guys talking about it. You've been able to do it, but it takes a lot of hard work and also a lot of research and just knowing your stuff before starting out, or else you can crash and fail really easily. So where did you guys get all of this knowledge from? Did you guys sit down and write down a business plan? What was the strategy behind it?
Oh, there was
I'll be
no
honest
business
with you.
plan.
There wasn't a business plan, but it was more like, so I had done a lot of reading and whatever, but put that aside, it's kind of like trusting in yourself. Like, can you bet on yourself to get this job done? And we looked at ourselves, and I think Sam agrees with this, and we look at ourselves and say, okay, can I do this? Can I figure this out myself? Do I trust myself to get through this? And if you don't trust yourself, then, that's a whole different issue. You got to work on that. But if you look at yourself and you look at other people doing it and you say, okay, if that person can do it, why can't I do it? And so you can trust yourself to get through all the challenges that are going to come up.
Yeah, definitely having confidence in yourself for sure. But I personally know a bunch of people that have all the confidence in the world, but they do lack the knowledge. So they've tried a bunch of things, whether it's been in real estate, whether it's been in car sales, whatever it has been, and everything has crashed and burned because they believed in themselves way too much, and they didn't arm themselves with the right knowledge. They didn't sit through courses or do all the right research, connect with the right people. So I guess my question is, behind that just assurance in yourself and your partner, how do you arm yourself with the right tools? Because it's not like, I believe in myself, I'm just going to buy this house and it'll all work out. What did you guys do to prepare yourselves?
So what we did, so a rule of thought, I went through a lot of businesses in my life, and the way that I look at everything is I never had experience in what I was doing until I got into it. What I told Eddy is, I'm like, we should meet a few people that are doing what we want to be doing to the best capability, the best extension that you have. Meet them, talk to them, watch their videos, some type of connection. And this may sound pretentious or come off in a bad way, but you basically have to look at it like, do I think I'm as smart or smarter than this person? And if you feel like you are, then you could do what they did. If they've gotten there, then you could figure out your way too. That being said, you still want to arm yourself with as much information as you can. We spent a lot of time reaching out to people in the industry, trying to get people to talk to us, trying to get information. And one of the problems that we came across was it's hard to find someone to give you advice on exactly what you're doing, because a lot of people in this industry tend to keep things gated. And that's kind of what led to us also creating the YouTube channel, documenting from start to finish this entire project and entire process. Is we kind of pulled back the curtains and there's nothing hidden. We displayed everything, all the problems we faced, all the money we lost and spent that we shouldn't have. But it's when you have friends in the industry or when you know people that you could reach out to, it definitely makes it a lot easier. I could jump on one example in construction. If you're doing new construction, you're going to have LID, which is low impact development, which is a California or Los Angeles. I believe it's Los Angeles only, it might not be California, but it's water conservation. It is the most complicated. They make it seem so crazy and it's a big process. And we spent a week trying to reach out to people and figuring out. A lot of people had no idea how to do this. And eventually, through the right connections, thank you, Dennis Chernoff, gave us information, our real estate agent that listed our house, her along with Sarah Gallegos. Dennis gave us the information of another builder that we called who does 20, 30 builds a year. 5 minutes on the phone, he answered every single question we had and saved us 2 weeks of research and whatnot. So having access to knowledgeable information is very key. But I think the one thing that I do want to convey to everybody is you don't want to get stuck in this wheelhouse of continuously trying to get all the information. At some point, you got to jump in the water and see if you can swim.
Yeah, for sure. Experience, there's a lot to be said about being there hands-on learning, especially if you're the type of person that can't retain all the information by just reading online. And I think you did touch on something very important. At the Pocket Network, we always say that networking is everything. It's key. You just meet the right person and they could completely transform your project and your lives with it. So how did you guys go about networking? Did you just find people online and call them up and hope it works out?
Honestly, fake it till you make it. Okay. We reached out to a lot of people, and we maybe presented ourselves above where we were actually at, and maybe presented ourselves of where we wanted to be. And then it's finding the right people that kind of believe in you. So for us, I think before we even bought our first property, we had, what connections did we have? Nothing, right?
No, we didn't really have any connections to anybody in construction or in real estate. Just friends that may have gotten their license, or Instagram friends that may have gotten their real estate license. That's about it. So nothing solid.
I'll start off by, I guess I'll tell the story of our first property. So 5715 Troost Avenue is our first and only project as of right now that we've completed. We bought that project for $625 September, November, something like that, 2020. Is that right, Eddie?
It was October 2020.
Okay, October 2020. We bought it for $625. We ended up selling it for $1.91 million. It's the most expensive home to ever sell in North Hollywood. So we set a record, but acquiring that property was the biggest hurdle, our first hurdle that we faced in figuring out how to find a property. We bought it for $625,000. If you guys look at comps in the area at that time, they were around $750,000. And the way we did that is, like I said, initially we reached out to a lot of agents, a lot of people in the industry trying to find good deals out there that were not on the MLS yet. And it became very difficult to do. So we were like, hey, how do these agents get these listings? How do we get to these people before the agents do? And simple enough, it's advertising. Now, how do you advertise? Luckily for us, we had some funds that we were willing to, like, I would say, gamble with. And we did a lot of advertising, and we ended up deciding on doing handwritten mailers, which Eddie, using his a little bit of his engineering background, put together a system that basically, actually have an example right here. They're like these little mailers that we do that look like wedding invitations that basically say, like, what's your plan for your house? If you're interested in selling, give us a call. And we mailed out a bunch of these. We did door hangers, we did postcards, and we targeted the same area. This person ended up calling us. We were literally in a stack of other people that were reaching out to her for a property. And because I guess we were so constant, we were on top of the list. So she called us, met with us, and we closed the deal. From there is when we were like, okay, now we definitely need some type of help from outside. We need some type of guidance and information and networking. And it made it easier because we already had a project. Like, that was our project. Now people are willing to spend more time with you because at the end of the day, everybody in here is in it for the business. You know, I want to be helpful to people as much as I can. I love helping people, but there has to be some type of business gain from it. Whether it's now, whether it's 10 years from now, you know, there's only so much time. Like, I'll help people out on Instagram, DM me, and they'll ask me questions. I'll spend like 20, 30 minutes helping them out. But it's limited. If there's no business in it, it's hard for me to spend 40 hours helping you with your project.
Of course.
And that's just being honest. So now that we had this project, it was easier for us to reach around and talk to people and say, hey, you know, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to meet people. We're trying to get access to people. And I think it was around the demo phase. Who was it that helped us with demo? Somebody, Joseph. Right? Joseph from NeoADU. I think he's the one that ended up helping us. So we reached out through Instagram to Joseph from NeoADU or Neo Builders, and had them come out and look at the property, because initially we were thinking about doing an ADU. And that built that connection, and we ended up deciding to do a luxury single family, but he helped us with our demolition contractor. So having that Instagram connection with him and meeting him, whatever, he started helping us out. So he helped us out with that. Once we got the demo done, from there, it was like, okay, what do we do now? I remember, like, vividly, me and Eddie, like, within 3 days, the whole house was down. And we're like, okay, we're like on dirt. Like, how do we build now? Like, we have no idea. And throughout that process,
until the last second possible to learn.
We unfortunately did it that way. That's how the cards kind of landed, I guess. I don't know, Eddie. How did we end up in that position? Because now looking back at it, that wasn't very smart.
I mean, it was just, you just got to do it. The house had to go. Sam skipped a bunch of things. And just, there was the whole architectural phase where we got all the architectural stuff done. So that's where you decide on what you're going to do with the property. So that's the first step is we got the property under contract. Luckily for us, we had set it up on a long escrow. So during that long escrow, we actually took a gamble and paid an architect to draw the architectural plans before we actually closed on the property. That's where you decide if you're doing an ADU, whether you're doing a new construction project like we did. And we were trying to get the ADU done, but it just didn't fit the architectural plans, or it just didn't fit the way the lot was shaped and all that. So then we went into the new construction addition kind of deal. And we left up one wall, and the rest of it was in a demo plan where the rest of the house has to go. So it's actually the thing that we learned that is important to know is it's all in your plans. You just got to go with the plans. We didn't know how to read plans at that point, but it literally says there's a demo plan that says, okay, all these walls are coming down, and this is the only wall that's staying up. So go find somebody that's going to take down these walls and leave that one wall up. Then flip the next page. These are the walls that need to go up, okay? Or this is the foundation that needs to go before the walls go up on that. So, okay, get somebody to follow the plans and do that foundation. So reach out to contractors and whatever. We used a lot of Instagram contractors, we called people off Craigslist.
A trick that I will give people that are just introducing themselves to the industry, like specifically if you're looking for contractors and subs, and this does not always pan out in your favor. We had a really big horror story with one of our subs because of this, but what we did is we went to the developers and builders on Instagram that were building to the caliber and degree that we want to be building at and the quality we want to be building at. And we went through who are they following. And literally it's hard to search, so you have to just scroll through all of it and you pick out subs. So you'll find like, oh, this guy's a kitchen guy, this guy does plumbing, and you just have to call a bunch of people and have them give you quotes. Honestly, for us, our experience was until you do it, it's very, very, very difficult to have people come out. It's very difficult to have people even like give you an ounce of help. They need to see something at the end of the tunnel for them. And the guys that do really good work and are really fair on their pricing and they can create availability and deliver on what they promise, they're pretty much always booked up and they don't really waste their times on quotes. They want to come out and say, I can do this. Here's my timeline. Does it fit? I'll do it. And they know that they're in the right price point. So it's very difficult, but I think one of the ways that was one of the ways we did it. One of the other ways is we got lucky to meet Sarah at an open house who ended up being our agent. I would go to open houses every weekend and try to meet agents to figure out if I could somehow create a beneficial relationship outside of a real estate agent literally clicking list and taking 4, 5, 6% for no reason. I really view that as no reason. Like I have a friend that has a license. He can click the same button. They have to do more and bring more to the table to justify that. And I will say with the Chernoff team, we definitely got that and a lot more. They mainly work with developers and stuff, and that kind of benefited us because they were able to put us in contact with developers. They were able to get us different subs that we could use in different areas. And Sarah definitely trusted us and put a lot of faith in us to list the house with her and helped us out a lot tremendously towards from the middle to the end of the project for us.
And before you found out that they can actually connect you to all these people and, get you on the phone with all the right people that can help with your project, what is it during this open house that set her apart from everyone else?
We went to a lot of open houses. This actual particular open house that we went to was Dennis's personal house that they were selling. And what kind of set her apart is, to be frank with you, is she was more interested in figuring out how she could add value to you before trying to secure value for herself. And like, I do the same thing with people. Like if I see a potential of someone being able to help me, I first add value to them. That's my intent. It's like, I want to add value to you, and then you will reciprocate it. And you can tell there's different types of people in this world, right? There's people that try to take advantage of you, but you gotta walk past those. You gotta just recycle, move on. When I see someone is trying to add value to me before they've gained anything, it 100% makes me want to add value back to them and do that. We met a lot of agents. There was a lot of agents throughout the process of building this house, especially towards the end when they saw the finishes and stuff and what we were doing and how clean everything was, that wanted to list the house. In today's market, yeah, but it was like, what were you doing during the whole process to help me? Now, some people just don't have the access to help you the way that you need help, and that's perfectly fair and fine. But there was also people that had access that were not willing to share it and were kind of like, hey, once we list 1 or 2 houses for you, then you can be like in our circle, which it created that problem. But with Sarah from the get-go, her office actually told us, like, at first they were like, you got to be careful. Like, a lot of these builders, they'll take advantage of you. Like, and she was like, no, I know these guys, like, they're genuine, they're real, they're not trying to do anything. You know, I'm just going to help them as much as I can. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, it'll all be fair in the end. And honestly, I'm very happy with that. And that kind of, towards the end, made it a non-decision. But even when we were at the very end, I still interviewed a bunch of real estate agents, me and Eddy. We met with a bunch of them, people that were reaching us throughout the process and stuff. And excluding all the help that she had provided in the middle, beginning, and end of our project, they also brought more to the table, and they also listened. So when we spoke to them about what our expectations were and what we wanted to accomplish with listing the house, she actually listened and said, hey, these are the deliverables that I can do. Maybe this, I can't really reach exactly where you're trying to get to, but this is how close I can get. Versus a lot of the other bigger agents that have a grasp on the market were kind of like, wait, do you know who I am? I was like, okay, well, I don't care who you are. I want to see what you can do for me. So show me, tell me what you can do. And a lot of people write on their name. And I don't think those people will get far in any industry, let alone real estate.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot to be said about adding value before asking for anything in return. And also, I've heard a lot of people talking about definitely how competitive real estate is, but most of the people that have found success, who continue to get referrals from their clients, they do not treat anyone like a competition. They treat everyone like they could be part of their network. And all that has done for the people that I've spoken to is just increase their circle and increase how successful they are long term. So you might not be able to do something for your client right now, but if you're honest and transparent, the way you said Sarah was with you guys understood, you accepted her help and decided to go with her anyway. Or if she's able to refer you guys to someone that can do exactly what you're looking for, then in the future, if you want to do another deal, and you would think of her immediately because she was very honest with you. She was looking out for your best interests and not just her pocket at the end of the day. So I think that's really, really important for people to think of, especially in a market where the past 2 years, I want to say, have been really busy. We are seeing everything changing now, so I can't say much for the future. But in the past, there was enough business to go around for everyone. So instead of being so competitive and keeping such a tight circle and not sharing your resources, if you were one of the people that became that industry advisor, that industry mentor for people to turn to when they need help, then I think those are the people that made a name for themselves, who got more followers on Instagram, who are professionals in the network, who have more people turning to them and referring clients to them at the end of the day when someone is in need of their services.
Yeah, I think it's hard because we all need money to live, and you know, regardless of what you do, at the end of the day, money is a very big driving factor. But you have to be able to put that on the back burner. And I think any business that you're doing, whether it's real estate or not, you have to look at it like when we were selling the house too and going through the whole inspection process. A lot of other builders were telling us, like, we're in a hot market, like don't give any credits, don't fix anything, like forget them. And me and Eddy were like, okay, well, our name is on this product. So if there's something wrong that is our fault, regardless of if we can basically twist their arm into getting them to accept it because that's what the market is, just fix it. And at the end of the day, people make a lot of money flipping houses. You're getting greedy if you don't want to spend $500 to fix something that you should have done right the first time. And, even builders that have been building for 20 years make mistakes, but it's being accountable and not looking at the bottom line. Like when we had stuff, during our inspection period, a bunch of stuff came up. Some stuff we didn't foresee, some stuff that were like, simple mistake, and they can live with it. They don't need it fixed, but they're requesting to be fixed and it should have been done right the first time. We'll fix it. We didn't look at, this is going to cost this much. Should we do it? It was more so like, this is what we need to do because it's the right thing to do. And that actually ended up developing into a closer relationship with the sellers. And they're looking to build another house for one of the sisters of the buyer wants to build her house. And that might be something that we are going to be entertaining in the near future. And I think it comes down to how we dealt with it and how honest we were and fair. Just be fair.
Yeah. And like you said, a lot of people say we can get away with it now because of the market right now. But just in the past month, in the past few months, we are seeing such a fast shift in the market where you don't exactly know what it's going to be like in 1 month, in 6 months, in a year. So in case the market isn't as friendly towards the sellers and the developers, in case it does become a completely different financial situation, whatever the case is, whether it's a recession, whatever it is, and now all of a sudden less people are going to be building, less people are going to be selling or buying, whatever it is, you still want people to be thinking of you, not just saying in a desperate time when the market wasn't in my favor, they took advantage of me. It's the person that could have taken advantage of you but didn't. So now that the competition is going to be even higher than ever before, it's going to be much more competitive. Like you said, your name is on the product and people are going to be thinking of Sam and Eddy.
I think the competition is always there. It just depends on which side it is. And I think for the last 2 years or something, the competition has been with the buyers competing. Yeah. And I think it's slowly transitioning to where the sellers need to compete. And I think a lot of builders are going to have a hard time adjusting to that just because of the general business ideology that they have.
And plus with all the supplies getting so much more expensive because of the shortages, it is much more difficult for it to shift to a market where you can't be charging as much because you're spending so much more.
Yeah, Eddy, tell her what happened with our lumber. That was a crazy thing.
Well, when we first bought it, we quoted out the lumber to like 26 or 27,000. I can't remember anymore. But when we went to actually buy it, it was like 68,000 for the same amount.
Holy cow!
And that was like 4 months later or something.
Yeah, and now we bought right at the top of the lumber market, and fortunately, the prices of houses went up as well.
Yeah.
So that helped out, but
that's a shock to know one price and show up and be quoted with something, not just like a couple $100 more, but double and even almost triple.
Yeah. It was rough.
So speaking more about the funding of everything, are you guys completely self-funded or how did you reach out to investors? Let's talk more about that.
Actually, I have like $2 million that I just put on the table and I was like, Eddy, let's do it.
Yeah, that's what I thought it must be since you guys didn't write down a plan. Just had some extra $2 million laying around.
That's not exactly what happened. We used a hard money lender. So we shopped around for a lot of hard money lenders and different rates and all that. It's really difficult when you're starting out. Nobody wants to give you money at any favorable rates.
Yeah.
So it would be
I want to jump in real quick. I'll let Eddy finish, but in terms of hard money, like a big lesson for anybody that's just starting out and it's your first hard money lender, these guys will lie to you. They will pull you to the close of escrow and jump you they'll pull you like 2 points and 8%, which Eddy will explain all that. And then they'll jump you to like 14% and 3 points the day before close of escrow. And it's such unfortunately like negative brokers and people trying to take advantage of people. So you want to be careful with that and work with someone reputable and get referrals and make sure that who you're working with is not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, we reached out to a lot of lenders. We thought we were getting some favorable rates, and then towards the end, luckily we had a long escrow again. They wanted to switch it up on us, but we had already reached out to many people, and we had a lot of quotes of different hard money lenders. And eventually, when they tried to switch us from like 8% to like 14%, we just went with somebody else who we had already prepared on the back burner, which is very similar to kind of your everything, is your contractors, everything. You want to have backup plans. And a lot of people will skip this step of, oh, I talked to one lender, I talked to two lenders. I think we talked like 14 lenders we had on an Excel sheet, which is very similar to how we dealt with a lot of our contractors too. And it's just keeping a stack of, making sure people aren't going to screw you by talking to a lot of people. That's the only way.
Yeah. So I have a question about that because like right now I have zero experience in building and developing and pretty much a lot of areas in real estate. So I would never have thought of that you need so many backup people because they're going to lie to you. I would just assume someone's going to tell me the truth, especially if we're both making money, because they don't want me to just back out of the deal last second. So why did you guys have all those backups? Do you have some sort of personal experience with this? Was this some advice someone gave you?
So as far as anything you do, you want to have multiple options. You never want to be stuck with one person. And you'll learn that throughout your business life that maybe outside of people's circumstances or what they want to do, you'll end up in a really bad position. So our lending was our first opportunity to kind of witness that firsthand in this venture. Was we had one lender that was giving us a great deal, and we still quoted around and found a couple of extra leads just in case. Like, we don't know if this is going to pan out. We've never worked with this person. Yeah, this person on the other line is saying, hey, I'll give you all the money you need. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Just send me the project. Project looks good. We're going to do it. Then you come and you're starting to try to get the docs in and stuff, and they keep extending it, trying to get closer to the close date. And then that's when we started, what we did was maybe not the most honest thing, but we started working with like 2-3 lenders trying to get to that close date. And one of them ended up pulling through. I think the other one we just ended up pulling out of because their rate wasn't where it needed to be. And the third one, just the best rate, the best deal, last minute. I think they were at like 7% in a point. And a point is basically 1% of the total loan amount that you pay up front. And then the rate is the rate. But they were at, I think, 1 point and 7%. And this other lender was at 8.25 and 2 points. So obviously you want to go with the 1 point and 7%, but the day, like right before things were like, okay, we need the docs to sign. He's like, oh, my money guy, he just put his funds somewhere else. So I have this other lender that I'll cover the money. We'll still get the money. I was like, oh, cool. No worries. Yeah, but it's going to be 14% and it's 3 points because it's so short notice. And I was like, okay, well, best of luck to you, buddy. Like, that doesn't fly.
Yeah.
So and we learned that through the construction process as well. Same experience. If you don't have multiple people that you can depend on, especially if you don't have experience working with someone, you're going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great lesson to add to your business plan for the future, just to always have a few extra people on the back burner just in case. And with hard money lenders, do you have to pay them back sooner than you would with like a normal loan?
Yeah, so it balloons, depending on the terms that you set. The terms that we had set is a 12-month loan. So they give you the full amount and you have to pay the full amount back within 12 months. Okay. So it's called the balloon payment.
So then that means from the day you guys started escrow, purchasing the property until the day you sold it, that entire process of building and selling the home was less than 12 months?
I wish.
Well, it was not, but that's okay. What the loan is set up for. The day you close, not when you start escrow. The day you close escrow, that's when the timer starts. Now we were getting close to the end of our time, and we were not ready. There was 2 options at that point. you can get an extension. They do. Our lender did 3-month extensions for, I think, I don't know, a certain percentage, a certain amount of points. I think it was like 0.25. Oh, it's half a point.
Half a point for 6 months, and it was 0.25, I believe, for each 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So you pay an extra half a point for a 6-month extension, but that was the max extension that they were willing to give us. So what we ended up doing is we completely refinanced the hard money into another hard money loan for another 12-month term. We were running out of time, and we needed to figure something out. And what we figured out is, hey, we can refinance the whole thing, which I hadn't heard anybody do before. We just kind of came up with it, and we refinanced the whole thing to a new hard money loan, another 12 months, even though we knew we didn't need another 12 months.
The other problem that drove us in that direction was we needed more money. We had originally calculated $250,000 for the construction. We ended up spending close to 600, I think 600 to 650,000, somewhere in that range.
Wow. And was that because of the price changes, or was it because the whole plan wasn't laid out and you were paying in small increments?
Eddie can tell you why. Eddie messed up. He's the engineer. It was his problem.
Okay.
Well, the only way we knew how to price things out is like Google, because we didn't have anybody in the industry. And so I tried pricing everything out using Google searches, and we were way under. So we had an initial budget of $250,000 to do this whole project. And we, at the time, that's still way under. But on top of that, because of the whole supply chain shortages and all that, and the lumber prices and everything spiking up in price right when we needed to build, that on top of not knowing what we were doing, not knowing what we were quoting, we were way off. It wasn't something that we can cover ourselves. So on the refinance, we actually went from a $250,000 loan from the hard money lender for the construction to a $550,000 loan for the construction.
And before that happened, did you guys already have a plan set on how to handle any cost overruns?
So initially going in, I remember me and Eddie talked about it, and we were like, okay, if this project reaches like 500,000, so it doubles, like how crazy is that? That like will double our budget. We could have supported it with cash. That was the plan. Another thing that we didn't mention earlier is when we were buying this property, we had the owner give us a $100,000 loan on the property that was also ballooning in 1 year. So that helped us with our 25% down. So we ended up not putting that much down, and we had cash that we were going to use for that. Now, most of that cash was from my car rental business that I had, saved up throughout the years. But unfortunately, this is completely unrelated, but the car rental business, mine was mainly focused on travelers, and it's high overhead. I have a bunch of luxury cars that I have to pay monthly for, regardless if they're getting rented out or not. And when COVID happens, airport shuts down, nobody wants to travel, nobody's renting these cars. My expenses are still there. They're crazy high, and I have no revenue. So my funds were quickly being depleted at the same time as Eddie was spending a lot more money than we needed to on building out the project. So that created that turmoil. And eventually we just figured during the refinance time or the extension, I'm like, it'd be so much easier if we just pulled out more money so that we have peace of mind. So I think if we didn't get the refinance, we would have just done credit cards. We would have done something. We would have figured a way out.
$100,000 of credit cards. Whew.
Yeah. You do 0 APRs and then it works.
Okay. So, during this time, at any point, did you guys think of bringing in a third partner who had more experience, who could not only connect you to the right people, but negotiate fair deals, know exactly what the industry is like? Or did that not cross your mind at all?
I'll let Eddie answer because I don't know where his mind is at.
I don't think so.
Not at all.
I didn't because I didn't. I'm a very controlling, I need to know what's going on and be in charge. And a lot of the people that, even now I meet people that are building, maybe they're doing 5-10 houses a year. I guess I'm more picky. I want things done perfectly, and maybe they don't because they don't care and the margins are there anyways. But working with Eddie, we're friends before we were in business. So it's easier for us. And I mean, neither one of us are strictly in this for the money. Like, neither one of us are like extremely money hungry, and it makes it easier. Like, sometimes we'll do things his way, regardless of the monetary gain or loss. And then other times we'll do it my way because that's what we want to do. So I just didn't want another hand in it.
Yeah. So long term, how sustainable do you guys think that is business wise? So sure, things might you might like it done the way that you like it, but especially now that we're seeing a turn in the market where your profit might not be as high on any property that you either flip or develop, whatever it is. How sustainable is it to not focus on the money and just focus on how you like things done?
Well, you got to buy right. That's the first thing. You make the money when you buy. And the second thing is it goes back to what I think Sam was talking about earlier, where you want to put out a good product. You put out a good product, people will come to you, even if your margin isn't as high. So
for example, let's talk about the margins a little bit so people can have a better understanding of what we're really talking about here. On our first project, we cleared $500,000. We haven't done the final numbers, but it's a little bit more than that. It's around that point. On a $1.9 million sale, we made a lot of mistakes. It took way longer than it needed to. We probably spent over $100,000 to $200,000 extra money that we didn't have to spend. When you're talking about 25 to 35% margin and you factor that in on your deal and you're selling something for $2 million, you have $600K in profit. I think you could sacrifice $100K to do it the right way. Like, we're not talking about $50K a year or $60K a year or some small margin where you really need to count your pennies. It goes back to like what Eddy said, do it the right way, because the margins are huge. Like the margins are huge and the dollar amounts are huge, and doing it the right way doesn't cost as much as people like to think. Okay,
but for example, the way I understood it was not necessarily about doing it the wrong way, but maybe spending a little more money, a little more attention to detail just to have it the way that you like it. So were there moments when you guys saw that you weren't going to meet the deadlines that you set for yourself, or when you were going to overspend a little, that you had to sacrifice? Let's say you wanted, I don't know, special tile to be flown in from Italy to finish up the bathroom, where you decided, okay, I'll do something else really nice just to save a little bit more time and money, and you'll still have a great product at the end of the day.
So all those decisions we made like on the spot. So what we learned after this is a lot of people come up with these decisions beforehand. They'll have like a full design plan. We designed as we went. You know, if you look at the house, we added these accent walls that was never part of our original plan, but we added them in. They cost us an extra, I don't know, $5,000, $8,000, what, I don't remember exactly what it was, but we made that decision on the spot that, hey, how can we make these bedrooms look a little bit nicer so that they pop a little more, they're a little more unique, and which cost us not only the money, it also cost us an extra like 2 weeks to get that done, where nobody else was really able to do anything during that time, the other trades.
Yeah. For finishing,
it's a give and take.
Yeah, for the finishing touches, I totally understand. If it's not exactly where you thought it would be, or last second you see that something might make it look a lot better. But for future projects, do you guys have now a new way to do it, a way that you can plan ahead and strategize every move?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you guys work on that?
The mistake that we made was not properly planning every single thing out and pre-selecting everything. So you look at it, and this is what me and Eddy did. We're like, oh, who cares what tile we use? We'll just pick the tile. We'll go to Floor and Decor and pick whatever tile we want, and we'll put it in. It's not that simple. A lot of design and stuff goes into it. Who cares what door we use? Who cares what floors we use? It matters, and you need to know, because every single step of the way, things that you don't foresee, people are going to ask you and need answers to in order to do their job correctly, and you're not going to have it. And if you delay them, you're delaying yourself. So moving forward, we're definitely going to be planning out every single aspect of the house, architecturally and design-wise. Even architecturally, I don't think we had everything down to the T like we would want it to. But on our next project, we're going to spend another week sitting down, me and Eddy, and planning out where every single outlet goes, where every single switch goes, what tile we're using, what thickness of everything you're using, and you pre-select everything, and you have this available for all your builders and subs and everybody that's working on the project. It also helps you avoid a lot of change orders, which we had a lot of, which costs money and time. So pre-planning, you got to plan ahead. Even if you don't know if you're making the right decisions ahead of time, plan something, pick something out and go with that. And then maybe you can make a change later. But you do need to know what you're doing ahead of time, or else you're going to face a lot of problems. And we definitely faced a lot of those.
Yeah, I love that you guys recorded everything and posted each step on YouTube, explaining not just what you guys are thinking, but also how much you guys spent, how much you guys gained, all of that. So if you guys do that with a second project, maybe after you're done, you could do like a comparison on what you could have avoided, just to give other people advice on what they should do when they start out, but also just to see if some of these changes that you've made were really worth it in the end, if they saved you, how much time they saved you, or how much money they saved you at the end of the project.
Well, yeah, a lot of the time and money. The thing that we didn't realize that people need to realize is the amount of decisions that you need to make during a project is absolutely way more than you think. If you haven't done a project, the number of decisions that need to happen is an astronomical number. So if you set that all up in a design plan from the beginning, there's a lot less extra decisions that you need to make. Now, things may not go as smoothly. You might not have the tile available anymore, so you might have to switch that tile or whatever the case is. But if you have most of the stuff picked out, most of the decisions made, then you're making only some decisions, which will it'll help you actually scale your business.
Yeah, and you'll be able to, I'm sure, work on multiple projects at a time. One project will not need your full-time attention.
Exactly. I don't think we would have been able to do a second project with how much time we were spending on this project, and the YouTube. Yeah, YouTube took a lot of time too.
Yeah, I'm sure you learn a lot more when you focus all your time and energy into one thing at a time. And just going back to what you said about how much decision making it is, we actually had a podcast with Dr. Zarek Borosyan, and he has his own architectural virtual app that he has built. But he's also a professor at Pepperdine, and he actually teaches classes on critical decision making. So he talks about how real estate agents and all types of professionals in real estate like yourself, how critical decision making is so important in everything that you do, and it could literally be the key to your success. So I love that you guys have pointed that out. It's not like you've taken his course on anything, but just through trial and error, you've been able to realize what the most important factor is in your planning process.
It's a lot of work, and like Eddy said, right now we're looking at trying to pick up 4 projects by the end of the year, so that we could be working on 4 projects at the same time, using the knowledge that we built from the first one and being able to applicate it to those projects and spend a lot less time on those projects.
Yeah, Eddy was saying in the beginning that he didn't want to work a 9 to 5 anymore. Now you're going to work a 9 to 9, working on 4 projects at a time.
We were doing that on
6 a.m. Yeah, it was more like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., 12 a.m.
Okay, that's actually pretty good for never and not having a plan.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I know that you're not, you and Sam are not living in the same area anymore. So how is that going to affect future projects? Do you do everything virtual now?
I mean, we're still figuring that out. So I technically live in Seattle, and during the project, I did live in Seattle, but I flew back and forth. I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, where the project was in North Hollywood. But right now, that's not going to work out with my marriage. I can't keep doing that. So the thing is, we're kind of looking to get a project manager as well, to be kind of my legs and hands and eyes on the job sites.
Yeah.
So that but it doesn't make sense to only have one project and pay somebody, a yearly salary, which is another reason why to get multiple projects, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that makes sense. And you do want to build a name for yourself in the business, and the more projects that you're dipping into at the same time, the more people not only know your name, but they're able to trust you because you have multiple proof of concept.
Yeah, and a lot of these, the way you build a business is you hire people that know more than you. And, we know a lot going through this first project. It gives us enough knowledge to know when someone is doing something wrong, but we need to bring someone on that has more experience than me and Eddy combined times 10. And that person can help us grow for that person. And I've seen some of these project managers, 4 projects a year is nothing. Like that's nothing for them to be running 4 projects at one time. As long as you have the crew and stuff that's working. And we have a lot of our team picked out, and a lot of the guys we won't be reusing. And that's just a learning process, and that'll change throughout the years, always constantly. But having somebody with more experience than you that can manage these projects gives us a bigger trajectory to move. And as far as Eddy being physically here or not being here, we have technology now. And if we don't need to be on the job site, we have someone with an iPhone and FaceTime. We could be on the beach.
Robots. Have you guys watched Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory when he just drives around on a robot and the little iPad has his face on it? So you can.
That's how he's coming to my wedding.
Okay.
He said he's going to send an iPad. So
we'll see how that works out. You guys should vlog that too on YouTube.
Yeah.
And with a project manager, going back to that, they do think of things that you guys haven't considered, and also things that maybe you don't have to think about now that might be something of concern in the future. For example, like your environmental footprint. Is that something that there's laws and regulations on, something you had to think about while you guys were building the house? And more specifically, I'm thinking like soil, air, water, noise pollution, all of that, how that affects the neighbors. If it's a project that's taking over a year, will there be issues with that?
Well, Sam, you want to talk about the asbestos stuff in the beginning?
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like that, but to be honest with you, you're guided through the city. They're very, very keen on inspecting and penalizing you for things you don't get right. And they want to make sure that everything, especially in California and Los Angeles, where all of this stuff is like the utmost importance, there's every single step of the way you're doing something. They'll guide you through it. You'll fit all those requirements and stuff that you need to. One of the first things was with demolition, you have to do asbestos, lead, and I believe there's one more testing. And if you have any one of those, it has to be disposed of properly. You can't just throw it in a dump site. And also with the debris on a trash site, you have to dispose of it properly through proper channels. It's really easy to do it the right way, to be honest with you. And the savings to do it the wrong way is so nominal. And then as far as neighbors go, you have to be neighborly. Like we shot a video the other day about how to deal with your neighbors. From day one, we sent a letter to all the neighbors. I hand delivered it with my card, and I said, hey, if you have any problems, give me a call. I don't want to bother any of you guys. This is your neighborhood. I'm just trying to improve it and be done and be out. Like I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to be a nuisance to anyone. But it's construction and it happens. Call me and I'll take care of it. We had like maybe one problem. 13 months of construction we were there.
That's pretty incredible.
A lot of people, like, they get into arguments and stuff with their neighbors that are builders and stuff, and you always run into crazy people, but be neighborly, be willing to help, and your neighbors will be fine with you, and it'll make your project a lot easier.
For sure, I agree. Especially you going in person, I think that definitely made a difference in the way the neighbors reacted, because when they put a face to the issue, they're less likely to overreact and complain right away. They're more understanding. So question for you guys about the future. So we're seeing the market cooling off already. How do you guys think that this will affect your development?
It's highly affected our business strategy of how we're moving forward.
So
what active changes have you made already?
We're trying to be a lot more conservative. We've had, we've still done our own marketing. But anytime somebody's called us, we've been a lot more conservative. We've been giving potentially lower offers than they could get with somebody who's a lot more risky, who thinks the market's still going up. I don't think we think that way. Sam, do you think that way?
Yeah, we're just being more conservative. When we look at comps, when we look at building costs, building costs we relatively understand to a certain extent, given the market and how everything adjusts. But when we're giving our offers, when we look at comps after we're done a year from now, I take about 10% off of the nearest comp, and that's just to buffer ourselves. And from there, we're keeping our margins a lot healthier. And the offers that we're making to people right now are not the offers that some other builders are making based on the assumption that the market is going to go up. And that's fine. If someone's willing to give you more money for your house, whether it's worth it or not, if that builder's making a bad decision, that investor's making a bad decision, puts more money in your pocket, I'll step aside and I'll move forward, to the next one. And if that means we don't pick up any projects for the next couple of months and we just sit around and wait, I'd rather do that than see a 20% market adjustment that comes out of not only my profits, but my actual capital that I invest into a project. So we're definitely being more conservative. Eddy moving to Seattle, one of the things was the mailers. Like, we've set up full production in Seattle and we're selling the mailers to a lot of other real estate agencies. And we've just recently started selling them in LA as well. So that's another part of our business that's like flourishing, is the marketing. These mailers do amazing. The return on them is like crazy, the amount of calls you get back versus the regular postcards or door hangers and stuff. So that's been crazy. Like, Eddy's been literally working day and night in Seattle doing that, trying to keep up with orders. But we're going to be doing that. We're going to continue sending out our own mailers and just basically feel out the market. There's no need to be risky. It's when people are greedy, you want to be conservative, and when people become conservative, that's when you want to be greedy. I don't know who said that, but it was someone with a lot of money said that. It's a very famous quote, but that's the approach that we're taking. So we'll wait 6 months, and then 6 months, a year, whatever, and then we'll go for it. But in the meantime, we're not standing around.
Yeah, I think you guys have definitely found your calling at the perfect time, because if you had started this whole journey today with all the mistakes that you guys were saying that you made and spending a lot more than you originally planned to, it might be a little more discouraging, or you won't feel the same hope for what's going to happen at the end. You don't know what the market's going to look like, if it's going to sell, but you guys started at the peak of the market. You guys sold at an amazing price when houses were being sold for a lot more than you could imagine selling your home for, especially North Hollywood. I know the area, and especially over the past, I want to say 2-3 years, the way that they've developed that city is absolutely incredible. It's like the prices were going up exponentially with the entire city being renovated, and that new, what is that little
NoHo West
shopping center card? Yeah, NoHo West. I think that definitely added to the value of the homes over there. So you guys had perfect timing, and seems like you guys learned a lot. So I really, really look forward to looking at your videos, your YouTube videos in the future, and seeing what you guys do to change future projects, and then compare what results you get, like how much faster and how much less money that you're spending.
Well,
it's going to be crazy.
On that note, I mean, we saw the development of NoHo West, so it wasn't like we were targeting that area with our marketing for no reason. We saw this thing coming up that's like Americana, and if you know anything about the Americana, how much it raised the prices of homes and all that around it, then you see a similar development coming in. You see the path of progress, call it, coming into an area. You want to try to get into that area. That's what we did.
Yeah.
They also did the $1 billion development that I actually found this out after we closed on Choose. The train station that comes in on like Lancashire and Vineland, I believe it is, Lancashire, Magnolia, Vineland. They're building a $1 billion building on top of that with like multi-use commercial restaurants, residential. So NoHo is going to be the next most expensive city. And if you have money to invest, now's the time to be in that city.
Yeah. It seems like any city with the name Hollywood in it is such a tourist attraction now.
Yeah.
If you look at the way that these huge shopping centers are built, they have limitless resources, literally. So they have people go out and do all the research. They do all the salary, the research, see what people are making around the area, how much they're willing to spend. So they do, I don't know how much money they spend. Now, this is actually interesting to look into. Like, for example, Caruso, who built the Americana. I'd like to see how much money he put into research to find the perfect place to develop the Americana. So you don't have to do that research. We cannot afford as just single humans doing the research that he does. So if you just follow these people around and invest in real estate around them, most likely you're going to see a profit off that real estate, even in the worst times in the market. So that's a pretty good strategy.
I know there's people that do that with Walmarts. They follow where Walmarts are building in rural areas, and they'll pick up a bunch of land.
Yeah,
I've heard the same thing with Starbucks. Is they figure out where Starbucks can open up.
For me, with Starbucks, I've noticed they open up after the development. So if you've noticed in Glendale, a bunch of Starbucks have opened up after the Americano was created. So they're actually opening up another one, literally a block from my house. There's going to be 2 Starbucks now. I don't see the purpose of it, but apparently they've done the research. They're going to make money off of it, but they're kind of late to the game.
Yeah.
They're renting out a shopping center that used to be like $2,000 a month for the lease. And now I guarantee it's over $15,000.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
When you have pockets like Starbucks, I guess it doesn't matter, but maybe we'll get there one day.
Yeah. Just follow the Walmart. They do all the research. They know exactly where and why they're opening up their super centers. And I think that's already a good enough plan. Or follow Caruso.
Yeah.
Let's see where the next Americana pops up. All right, guys, it was a pleasure meeting you. I took a lot of your time already. I look forward to seeing what else you guys have to produce. And I also look forward to seeing how you guys navigate this virtual partnership to see how you guys are able to proceed without a project manager and then delegating tasks to the project manager. So make sure you guys also upload those videos on YouTube. The Pocket Network would love to host some of those videos as well. And I've already learned so much from you guys. I can see you guys are learning so much from the first project to now the 4 projects you'll be doing by the end of the year. And I think all our viewers as well are looking forward to watching those. We're going to link all your YouTube channel and your socials down below so that everyone can contact you guys with any questions, view your stuff, subscribe, follow, and support you guys. And as always, for everyone watching at home, thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned a lot. Hope you guys have something to say about this. Join the conversation, comment below, DM us, DM Eddy or Sam or their business page at SC_FSU. And remember that you could do the same thing. Just work hard and remember, change begins at home.